Hey everybody, I'm Rick Rich Dick, and today we're going to explore a heap of smelly, spongy, super strong mulch known as Man-Thing. He's an acquired taste, to say the least, especially with R.L. Stein writing it. Yes, fanboys and fangirls, your horror hero from your youngin' days, R.L. Stein, is behind this 5-issue series of Man-Thing. But his style is so odd, it leaves us asking, what the dick is Man-Thing? Man-Thing was a military scientist that discovered a super serum not unlike Captain America. Unfortunately, this didn't make him tall with a great smile, and his love interest betrayed him even before he had an accident. In fact, leading to the accident in the swamp that created Man-Thing. Now, this grotesque character had his own run many moons ago, and today R.L. Stein, artist Herman Peralta, and color artist Rachel Rosenberg bring the mossy monstrosity back to Marvel with a wit so dry even I need some water. We pick up with Man-Thing at a studio in Burbank, California, trying to make a film. At first we think, alright, I'm down for this ride. Monster Goes to Hollywood makes it big. Haven't read that too often before. Boy, how right I was. It's gonna be impossible to recap this story without spoiling it because the situation changes on every page and not in a good way. Man-Thing is immediately fired from his acting gig mid-film. Makes no sense, and none of that ever comes back later. So, like all the other Hollywood rejects, he wanders Burbank only to run into himself. Also with no context, so I'm going to assume this is an existential crisis and fight until he reappears in the swamp he came from. And now we're into issue 2. This series simultaneously has a lot happening and not much at all. There's no story progression, just random acts. Yes, this is a world where Man-Thing exists, but he's supposed to live in modern-day Florida Everglades, and there's no reason for mutants to exist, like this giant crocodile, but there is. And who's the damsel in distress? Well, none other than Man-Thing's college sweetheart. Why is she in the Everglades? Or in the story at all for that matter? No reason, just photographing butterflies, or some BS. She never comes back into the story either. Seriously, this is all for naught. There's more fighting, more mutants, and more anonymous characters that show up long enough to extend the page count before Man-Thing finds Old Father's lair. Now, Old Father is a keeper of the swamp. He ensures chaos, such as the giant crocodile, doesn't erupt into the Everglades, but he's missing and the door to all realities has been pried open. Finally, at the end of the second book, we have a story forming. On to issue 3 and the story at hand, right? You'd think that, and you'd be wrong. Nope, we backtrack to just before Man-Thing reaches Old Father's lair so that we can have his graveyard skeleton zombie scene that also has no reference point anywhere else in the book. Then we have this, which, strangely enough, is probably the only part of the book that makes sense, as Man-Thing falls through a portal of all realities to end up in a suburb with a pretty girl. Nope, it's a coliseum, and the pretty girl is a queen that can control reality. And he's supposed to rescue Old Father from this cage, but first he'll have to make his way through Tiny Behemoth. Luckily, Tiny Behemoth is a gladiator of honor. As Man-Thing shrinks to his formal self, Tiny Behemoth decides he cannot fight the puny man and stabs himself. Now, you might think this is a spoiler, but it's not. This is. Welcome to issue 4, where the script is made up and the deaths don't matter. But we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves, because first we back up to when Man-Thing jumped through the portal, to up the page count again. So instead of slaughtering her lucky foes, the Queen of the Dick puts them in jail in order to hypnotize Man-Thing into killing Old Father himself. Why? Couldn't tell you. Oh, and this is Dr. Ted Sallis, by the way. Great, now that we've all met, this, as you guessed, is the Eye. He's the one that hypnotizes Man-Thing. And here we are at the end of issue number 4. Are we worried that Old Father is actually dead? No, Mr. Stein shows us there are no stakes in this crazy story. Man-Thing's anger at killing his beloved Old Father snaps him back to reality. He races to the Queen and sets her on fire because Man-Thing can do that, only to find out that, as we guessed, Old Father is not dead, but his body was inexplicably stolen. Naturally, they go to the body shop to find Old Father's missing body. Through a brief struggle, they manage to reunite the pair and teleport back to... Nope, the two of them get stuck in the toilet bowl of reality. Old Father does find a way back to the swamp, whereas Man-Thing finds a way to... well, his people? And that's what the dick is up with Man-Thing. Are you still confused? Me too. If you can fill in some of these disjointed plot holes in the comments, please do so. So that's the story of Man-Thing, but a lot of that's missing here is attitude. Every character makes the same lame joke. I'm a lame jokester myself, but I only laughed twice throughout these 5 issues. It's almost a callback to old school comics, I guess. I don't know what they were trying to achieve. I guess the best thing I can say about this is that even if you can see the next page or next panel, you still won't know it's coming. The art really gives definition to space and proportions, while delivering detailed portrayals and reflections in camera recordings. This whole book is pretty innovative, to put it nicely. The more I think on it, the more Man-Thing grows on me. Sure, the story doesn't make any sense, but we finally have a hero who doesn't have it easy. He's just as confused as we are. The artists really hold it down while the story goes awry. They give the big moments lots of impact, and if you like the humor at play here, then this is a perfect book for you. If you don't, you'll probably gouge your eyes out by the time you're on the second book. With this series, you really have to take Man-Thing's approach to everything. Don't worry about it too much. It's a pulpy nonsense adventure fraught with the worst dad jokes you've ever seen. They're old father jokes. It's probably best to read this the same way you watch my show, alone and deep on an acid trip. If that's you, like and subscribe. If that's not you, like, share, and subscribe. Either way, check back next week for your regularly scheduled
Dig.